Chris Tyson came out as trans and people aren't happy. Now, at this point, I'm sure you guys have probably heard of the Karl Effect, where people have tried to blame Karl on MrBeast's content being bad or something. And so they've cooked up this wild, crazy conspiracy theory that Karl's going around. He's just turning people gay. All right, he's turning the freaking frogs gay. And now clearly he's done the same to Chris. Now, Chris Tyson is just as much of MrBeast as Jimmy is. I mean, they have both been there day one making content together. They are best friends. And when Chris was younger, he used to make transphobic jokes in MrBeast videos. And so I guess over the years, he's kind of racked up this reputation of being sort of an edgy guy. At least that's what I'm gathering from these TikToks. I never really personally got that impression. And so when Chris started, expressing himself a bit more, started painting his nails, dressing, a bit more femininely, he started getting a ton of hate. Hundreds of thousands of people harassing him. He had to leave the internet because that's how bad the harassment got. Now, after Chris left the internet, he was kind of silent for a while, and Karl and Dream, they would meme on the whole Karl Effect thing because it was just ridiculous. It was this growing movement on TikTok, and they just kind of made a joke out of it. However, Chris would return to social media and he would reveal some more personal details about himself. The Karl Effect, while it lasted, was funny to me because even though Karl's a great friend, y'all think he's my type? I'm into way taller than me, ripped and quiet. Every time I had to see someone talk about me and Karl dating, I was like, oh, they just don't have any clue, LMAO. And he would then address the claims of he and his wife being divorced. For a little over a year now, me and Kitty have been separated. We are finalizing things soon, but these things take time. We like to keep our personal lives private, which a lot of people don't understand because we share so much, but this is the only time I want to discuss it. And then in a post earlier today, he would pretty much come out as gender non-conforming. Informed consent HRT saved my life and many others' lives. The hurdles GNC people have to jump through to get life-saving gender-affirming healthcare in a first world country is wild to me. Just let people make informed decisions about their own bodies. So I mean, this right here is basically Chris coming out. Now, at the moment, I don't really know what Chris identifies as. I've seen other people saying that he doesn't really care, but I mean, this just confirms that over the last few months, that while Chris was expressing himself a bit more, being himself, living the way he wanted to, finally, after years of holding on to this, after dealing with this, instead of people showing support, instead of the fan base that he and MrBeast had grown together, instead of them being kind and accepting, instead they decided to harass the guy, to call him names, to insult him, which might I add can be extremely damaging to someone's mental health, especially when they are in the early stages of transitioning. I also just want to say big ups to MrBeast. It's very clear the guy is supportive of his best friend, and I know that's kind of the bare minimum, but there's a lot of people who wouldn't do that, and it's just kind of cool to see MrBeast and Chris stick together and continue to make content together, continue to be friends. Anyway, yet another tweet would go viral and insulting Chris. Chris from MrBeast's crew received backlash again for his feminine appearance. This is the second time this year he's received hate. Both times, fans have blamed Karl Jacobs for the feminization. Bro, WTF happened? And Chris would respond to this backlash and this hate by saying, HRT, and it's only been 2 months. F, the goofy mother effers, keep running your own stuff. Karl, thanks for being an inspiration to me and so many other people to be happy and comfortable being yourself. And I mean, just the replies to all these tweets are really not worth going over because it's just some horrible, vile, hateful shit. Again, people are saying that Chris's kid is going to harm themselves, that they feel bad for Chris's kid for some reason. It doesn't really make sense to me. It's just kind of sad, it really is. And I'm glad that Chris has a supportive community, that he has friends that back him. To all these MrBeast fans that are hating on Chris, that are hating on Karl, these are MrBeast friends. They're homies behind the scenes. And you're just going out of your way attacking and hating them for what? I thought that we were, moving towards a time where someone could be their authentic selves and not fake face this ridicule, this hatred, but I guess not. I guess we're progressing backwards again, and it's sad to see. To those of you that for some reason hate trans people or hate queer people, I recommend you actually talk to a queer person. Regardless of whatever Chris's gender is, whatever his name is, whoever he decides to be, he's still Chris at the end of the day. He's still the person that we all grew up watching. He's still MrBeast's best friend. He's still MrBeast's first subscriber. He's just living true to himself now, being happier, being his true self. And there's nothing wrong with that. That, in fact, should be celebrated, not hated. And to the people who are hating on Chris, to a certain extent, I do feel bad for you, because that comes from a place of pain. And I know that because I was like that once. Chris was like that once. I think that's part of the reason that I like connect with him so much. I mean, like a couple years ago, he was like canceled because all the old jokes and shit he made were brought up. And even back then, he like mentioned his struggle with gender and how these jokes he'd made was kind of a way to cope with it. We live in a tough world where you're punished for being your true authentic self, but that's not right. That's not how it should be. And instead of punishing people for living their truth, you should embrace whoever you truly are and just let other people live their lives. Because I promise you, if you live a life of hatred, it's not a good life. It's not going to make you happy. Anyway, these are just my thoughts on this entire situation. If you guys have enjoyed, hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel.